Hey everybody, welcome back to Large Man Abroad. Let's have a talk. The American small business owner has been hit very hard recently due to the tariffs and the disruption of the supply chain. And it's costing essentially the American dream for an entire class of people. On this channel, typically we like to talk about the situation and the condition of working class people, normal people who the media doesn't necessarily cover and who the politicians don't necessarily try to help. That would be the vast majority of us. So I think it's important today to do something a little bit different and actually hear some of the voices of these small business owners who are being so affected. So here we go.
The Chinese do not pay these tariffs. I pay this tariff. My name is Mia Gallison, and I'm the president of the Ibu Corporation. I have 20 employees, and right now we are suffering under the stresses of these tariffs. We're a small business, and we make beautiful, very safe educational products for kids of all learning levels that we've been manufacturing in China for over 30 years. We manufacture there because we have not been able to find manufacturers in the United States that can maintain the safety and quality of the stuff that we have produced. But for every dollar that we give to a factory in China, we are giving dollars and dollars all across our supply chain to Americans for American jobs. We use truckers to pick our stuff up from the port. We use warehouse workers that pick and pack. We have 100 sales reps that go out to little stores on Main Street, your Main Street, and those little stores put our stuff on their shelves and they make money. There are millions of Americans whose livelihoods rely on this vast system of small businesses in this country, and we need help. We cannot afford to bring the stuff that we have produced into our port because 145% tariff have been put on our products. Some of our stuff left the factory when we thought we were going to be paying 20%, and now it's at 145. The Chinese do not pay these tariffs. I pay this tariff. When I bring a container into a port, I pay a tax that goes to the U.S. government. The Chinese have nothing to do with it. We are not punishing the Chinese. We are punishing Americans by taking away their jobs. We've got Christmas coming up, and if our stuff can't come in, we are gone. Large companies that have very deep pockets may be able to survive this Christmas season, but we cannot. I don't believe that the goal of these tariffs was to put small businesses out of business, but this is going to eliminate small businesses in your area, and not just some, but many, on a level that I don't think you can really imagine. And you don't need to believe me. Talk to your neighbors. Ask anybody that's got a small business. And it doesn't just have to be in manufacturing. We are 40% of the U.S. economy, and we are getting killed. We either need a carve out for small businesses or we need some sort of exemptions, but we cannot survive this. So please write to your senators, talk to your congressmen, write to the White House, reach out and contact anybody you possibly can. And if you are a small business, let's get our voices out there, because I'm not seeing us on the news. I'm seeing Tesla and I'm seeing Mattel and I'm seeing big companies, but I'm not seeing small people like you and me out there imploring this administration to save our jobs.
And she's absolutely right. There's been no relief for small business owners. In an interview with Trump just the other day, he essentially said that he's focused on big business, not to even bring up small businesses, small scale manufacturing, small businesses that are being built up by citizens chasing the American dream, or who have actually attained it at that point. These tariffs have, in effect, robbed these people of the American dream that they've actually built. And that's the entire goal of starting that kind of enterprise of small business, is to grow, is to become something more, to rise up from the station that you're in and to actually attain that American dream. It's an admirable thing that many Americans, she said, 40% of the US economy being small businesses, those are all started by individuals. They support community, they support local economy, and most of all, they support households. And in these households, people usually throw everything at these ventures to actually see them build, to grow them. It's not coming in from venture capitalists. It's not coming in from outside investors. It's usually starting in someone's kitchen, starting in someone's basement. And many of these people are losing everything that they've built now.
I feel like the past 24 hours has just been a complete nightmare. 104% on imports coming from China. 104%. And that means my small business that I put everything into is fucking done. I quit my corporate job about a year and a half ago to chase my dreams. I designed and launched a kids fitness brand, and it was going great. I paid fair wages. I built relationships. And then overnight, the cost just more than doubled. My margins were gone. You know, my business doesn't pay for a yacht or a private jet. It pays for our daughter's swim classes. It covers groceries. It helps with babysitters for date nights. This isn't just numbers on a policy sheet. It's real people, real jobs, real families. And now I'm back at square one. So wish me luck.
And this is exactly what we've been talking about. These policies affect individual families. They're not the wealthy, they're not the 1%. And mostly it's just people who are getting a little bit of extra money, just enough to keep them going, just enough to really cover their bills, cover their mortgage, to actually build their lives. But with the swipe of a pen, many of these people's businesses are being completely shut down. And for many of them, they've already had these businesses set up long before Trump came into office. Because until just months ago, the global economy worked like this. It's very expensive to make things in America with American products. And at the same time, many of those products aren't even available in the United States. So thankfully, the American people having access to the global market allows them to get products that they can sell at a price that they can still make a profit. And now by forcing American businesses to change everything and use nothing but American goods and products to do business with Americans, unless they pay the penalty of paying a 140% tariff. And many of these people just end up having to go under because they can't find the products that they need to keep their businesses going and keep their head above water.
This is a drastic hit for us. We have $250,000 in inventory stuck in China right now. We can't ship it here. We don't have $400,000 to pay the tariffs that Trump wants on those right now. So we've had to freeze all shipments, all orders, all production. And sadly, we've had to let go of most of our people already this year. If these tariffs don't end tomorrow, we're out of business in months.
You've had to let go people? How many people have you had to let go?
Yeah, we had 12 people at the beginning of the year. We're down to 5 employees now.
And this is one of the reasons that we saw in January and February 3.5 million layoffs throughout America. It isn't exactly the large corporations that are being hit the hardest. And the liquidations of employment are usually going to be coming from mom and pop businesses, small businesses that Americans own, who barely keep enough profit that they can actually run their business and pay their employees. So for many of these businesses, overnight, essentially, they're going to have to shut down because a major corporation may have enough wealth and may have enough assets that they can shut down in one place and move to another and weather the storm of the tariffs. But the vast majority of American small business owners don't have that ability. And it doesn't just touch millionaires. It touches everybody. It even touches blue-collar workers. I was talking to my plumber the other day, and he's waiting on new equipment to come in from China that's already been waiting in the port for 3 months, and he has no idea how long that's going to take. Supply chain is a funny thing, and these things can get set back quite a bit. I used to run a couple warehouses in Delaware in the height of the pandemic, and with the disruption of the supply chain, we had people waiting 6 months, 8 months just to get furniture shipped into America and then driven to their house. Because like we said, American industry actually doesn't provide a lot of the goods and equipment that a lot of small business owners actually need to operate. And that's why they outsource to China. That's why they outsource to India to actually gain these products. And they're not low-grade products like they used to be. That's changed a lot. Because these have become manufacturing hubs for the entire globe, the quality has really risen over the past few years. So what you're seeing now is products come out of China and India that are very high quality, and the equipment does last the test of time while still being cost effective for a business.
I just want to make some comments about these tariffs. I see a lot of people are uneducated about it, and they think like, yeah, like go America. This is how it goes. But America's infrastructure was built more on consumerism And China's infrastructure was built more on manufacturing and being, a supplier for the world. And because of that, they've been able to create a lot of high quality things for America that we use on a daily basis that you might not even know. But that product you're using right now comes from China. People think it's because it's cheap labor, that it's street quality, but it's actually not. It's very high quality stuff. And my bottles being one of the things that are made there. I know you might say, oh, just get it done in America. Well, there are no domestic options for insulated water bottles. All of the insulated water bottle brands that you love, the Stanleys, the Yetis, all of them, they're all made overseas in factories, the same factories as mine. And these things are really taxing to small businesses. Now, a big business, you can withstand it. This is, I think, this whole thing is like a ploy to pretty much just weed out all the small businesses because they can't afford to pay massive tariffs or afford to wait until the trade war is over before they place their next inventory order. So I'm just asking the community to stick by us. We will stand the test of time. We will be able to overcome this craziness that's going on from tariffs. The way they're just, not caring about the little guy, just allowing the government to just kind of squeeze us out. We got kids, we got families. These people, we have so much stuff that we're going to potentially lose, because our administration currently wants to do what it's doing. They say it's a bigger picture, but, on the here and now, we're hurting from it. So I want everybody to kind of stick together. Let's support our small businesses. Let's make sure that we're not one of the ones that are taken out during this trade war. You feel me? So appreciate y'all. Big supplement. I'm out here getting my walk in. Park, you already know. We out here. Peace.
This gentleman had a really good point. These tariffs, what they do in a way is work to erase small business and consolidate much of the market share of these sectors towards corporations, so that in a year or two, when many of these businesses have shut down, that market share that belonged to them, that 40% of American business, can now shift over to larger corporations who are able to sit out and weather this storm just by downsizing and laying off their workers. Unfortunately, this creates the opportunity for these corporations to gain monopolies over this market share. And this is a great danger to our economy. It's a great danger to small business owners. It's a danger to freedom and democracy, because we know that these corporations have massive interest in lobbying our politicians for political action. And I don't think anyone would be surprised if a year or two down the road, when they are starting to open up shop again, that they'd get some kind of waiver from these tariffs, though they'd still be impacting small business owners and many people who don't have the same lobbying power that many of these major corporations do. It'll definitely not affect these corporations in any way. In fact, it'll put them in a much better position, because like I said, it would end up monopolizing that sector, that market share of our economy.
We're going out of business. Our whole business is to provide high quality, affordable swimwear and loungewear. And with the new tariffs at 125 to 145%, we will have to increase our prices almost double to be able to pay those tariffs. And at that point, I don't think it's affordable anymore. And people will be like, why don't you just move your production somewhere else? Well, it's not that simple. I have tried Vietnam and Colombia, and their quality and professionalism didn't meet my standards. I've also tried Bali, but they couldn't be as fast as I would like to. So I put a pause on production while I'm trying to decide what to do. Well, I'm hoping they're gonna be able to negotiate and figure out affordable rates, because I don't know how much longer normal people like you and I can sustain at this crazy inflation and tariffs.
Again, this does seem to be the point. Even if these tariffs only go on for a few months, even if these political measures, this trade war only go on for a couple months, the amount of disruption that it's caused will be lasting. And many of these businesses, many of these business owners that you just heard from, their businesses won't be here anymore. Many of them taking years or decades to build can essentially be gone overnight or in just a few weeks. So when we hear politicians say that, the pain is simply going to be temporary and that there's a new America over the horizon, we have to think to ourselves, what America is that going to be? Because we're not a manufacturing country anymore. That's not what our culture is. We are a consumer-based culture. We consume, we buy, and we're dependent on the global economy to do so. So the only way for us to move forward is to expect a massive reduction in lifestyle in America. And yes, of course, it's good to tighten the belt sometimes and to be less wasteful. But at the same time, the consequence of moving into this direction is going to cost millions of Americans their businesses. And not just millions of Americans, but the other millions of Americans who are dependent on those small businesses for employment. And this isn't just in major cities. This is throughout the country. Small towns, mom and pop shops where the margins are already low. We saw what happened to Main Street America 20 years ago when Walmart really started moving in to small towns or on the outskirts. And I feel like this is a much more aggressive movement in the same direction to consolidate the market share of this economy to larger corporations who are able to weather storms, and essentially to prevent Americans from starting small businesses from here on out, or greatly limiting their ability to do so. Not only does this disrupt the idea of the American dream and the national morale, but it greatly impacts social mobility as well. Because if people are forced to compete for wage jobs from here on out and don't have the ability to start their own businesses without an injection of massive capital that normal people just don't have, what ability do most people have to rise up from one social class to another? Like I said, this essentially does away with social mobility. And that's why we say that these tariffs, they're not attacks on the Chinese, because it's individuals in America who are paying these tariffs, either upon delivery or ahead of time. We're still the ones who are going to be paying. So we really have to understand that a lot of the explanations that we're hearing either from this administration or from its officials, that a lot of it is just doublespeak and misdirection to really get you away from the truth, which is that these tariffs and this trade war are either ill-advised or purposefully done to attack the working class and to rob them essentially of their futures and their American dream. So it's unsure about what the future brings for America, because eventually this administration will be out and a lot of these policies will be rolled back. But at the same time, over 4 years, what kind of damage can be done and how much of it will actually be reversible? Because at this point, you're not talking about just taking away people's businesses. You're talking about taking away people's time. And it's time and resources that they've put into these businesses, into these projects, for, like I said, some years and then some decades and other people lifetimes. So in the end, I think it's most important right now that all of us are investing in these small businesses by using them. And simply, that's all that it is. People need to honestly disengage from the kind of consumerism that's given these corporations the amount of leverage and power that they have now. It's the only way to actually enact any change in this country. But it wouldn't be something that's overnight. It would have to essentially change our cultural behavior at this point, which is very hard or nearly impossible to do, because behavior learned over a lifetime is usually a behavior that's set for someone's entire lifetime. So like I said, it's really hard to see where the future goes, but right now what we do know is that these people are losing everything and something needs to happen, or else the idea of small business in America, the idea of ownership, the idea of social mobility, and the belief in the American dream is gone forever. This is Large Man Abroad, and I want to thank you for watching this video and all the support that we get from you guys. And if you stuck around long enough, like and subscribe. But again, we appreciate the support and we appreciate you stopping by. So have a good one.